Hey, how's it going, idiot? This video is sponsored by me and no one else. We've got some new merch in the store, and it's an all-over print, a 3-sween moon. Get it while you can. It's a little bit more expensive because it's an all-over print. You can get the worst ones if you want, but I'd imagine you'd want the cool one that all the hip kids are gonna get. Links in the description, as always, on with the video.
Okay, so this is gonna be tricky. This is a different environment. This is a different chair. It's a different floor. We're gonna try it. It'll probably not work. Oh, fuck me. Holy shit. Hey, everybody. It's me, the man who killed Jimmy Hoffa. And don't you dare tell anybody what I've just told you. I'm currently in the great city of Las Vegas, staying in that stupid Pyramid Hotel. The one that I only know about because Chris Angel Mindfreak, or as I like to call him, Hot Topic the Person, broke the known laws of the universe on top of it, and nobody seemed to give a shit about it immediately after it. It's nice to know that that wasn't a fever dream and this place is actually real. It's kind of neat. Maybe I'll meet Chris Angel while I'm out here, you know? Wouldn't that be awesome to meet Hot Topic the Man? I'm just gonna be real with you guys. I'm hungover as fuck, and I'm not feeling great. So I think we should just get into it. I'm so ready to die. Hey there! Do you like video games? Do you like condescending video essayists constantly screaming at you and telling you that all the things you enjoy are harmful and wrong? Well, then you'll probably love Extra Credits. I'll be honest, I used to be a casual fan of these guys back when I was getting into game design. They provided some interesting tutorials back in the day and interesting ways to think about level design and the implementation of gameplay mechanics, all sorts of shit. But I guess at some point they started running out of things to say, and honestly I just sort of fell off them and haven't checked up on them in quite a few years. But recently a good friend of mine that I used to make games with back in the day sent me this gem of a video, and I was immediately struck with this weird sense of nostalgia. But not like the Spider-Man 90s cartoon nostalgia, not like the stuff that makes you feel young. It's more like the AIDS epidemic nostalgia. Like, oh, remember AIDS? Because I knew that this video was gonna be a bad one. I knew it because this friend of mine never sends me anything that doesn't hurt me on a spiritual and physical level. It's just all the worst shit. So long story short, curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to check in on what this channel that I used to kind of like has been up to all this time, and oh boy.
There you are, playing the PvP in your World War II shooter, and all of a sudden, you're a Nazi. You didn't ask for this. You didn't choose this. Yet there it is. And it's treated no differently than playing a British soldier.
What? What the fuck? So there you are, playing your cartoon mascot kart racing game, when all of a sudden, you're a furry. You didn't ask for this. You didn't choose this. But there it is. And it's treated no different as playing as a scientist. The second I heard that first line, I knew that I was in for just like a cascade of hot takes. What do you mean? You didn't choose this. You bought the game, sir. Surely you understand what the game is. Who in the everlasting tide of autism buys a World War II video game knowingly and genuinely thinks to themselves, oh man, with any luck, this will be the one without the Nazis in it. There's so many other games that don't have Nazis in them. Play those!
This is bad on so many levels.
Oh, come on, guys. You're making this way too easy for me. And I just can't wait to be dead.
No one should ever have a random chance of fighting for the Nazis. And we should never express that there's no meaningful difference between Nazis and Allied soldiers, or that they're functionally interchangeable.
I don't even... It's so difficult to even argue against this because it's such a baffling mindset to even have. I don't know which plane of existence to set foot in to just make an argument. Can you imagine you're like 10 years old, you're playing cowboys and Indians with your friends? I don't know if that's something that people still do. But you're playing with your friends and some kid gets up on a fucking podium. No, actually, scratch that. He summons a fucking pedestal out of the ground from the depths of hell and stands atop it and says, ah, truly disgusting. The idea that you set this game up under the parameters that cowboys and Indians are functionally the same is just vile. The cowboys stole this land from the natives and murdered them in droves. These aren't equivalences. It's like, yeah, no shit. It's basically light LARPing. You play good guy, I play bad guy, and that makes the game a little bit more engaging than just red versus blue. Did these people ever play pretend as a kid? Have you never pretended to be an evil comic book villain just for the sake of just having fun? Like, I question whether or not these people were ever even kids in the first place. You know, like, or whether or not they were just like grown in a tube, like a seething homunculus. Also, side note, I have never played or even fucking seen or heard of a World War II game that genuinely tries to get across the point that the Allies and Axis were moral equivalences or functionally the same. These games are also typically rated M and exist under the very correct assumption that you're probably an adult who is very well aware of the underlying context that pins down a lot of these events that you're taking part in when you play a game like this. Like, what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to, like, ship every World War II game with a fucking pamphlet that explains why the Nazis were bad? Call of Duty World War II. Pre-order now and you'll get a free copy of Schindler's List. Fuck!
There you are, playing your modern shooter, and all of a sudden you're a terrorist. You didn't ask for this, you didn't choose this, and yet second verse, same as the first. There it is. I mean, that's literally the name of your side in the game. We can do better than this.
Is this really what we got? Is this really what we got to complain about here? I feel like these guys are the type of people who would, like, invent a problem and then, like, pat themselves on the back for finding out a solution to the completely fake problem. Well, hello there, good sir. I intentionally set this building ablaze, but praise me, for I also managed to stop the fire before it became fatal and expensive. My head's beating like a fucking Donkey Konga level. This is not my A game.
Even if you put aside all of the people who have had traumatic experiences with these groups, who have lost loved ones to terrorists, or who have had generations of their families wiped out by Nazis, no one should have to put on the costume of an ideology they find abhorrent without actually opting into it in your game.
My guy, you opt into it when you buy a game about World War fucking II and also a game about literal terrorists. What are you on about? Also, I really highly doubt that anybody who's been through, like, genuine trauma like that, like anybody who has lost friends and family to terrorist attacks IRL, are, like, having pussy-quaking brain aneurysms at the sight of virtual terrorists. Especially in a game that they bought. This is a pretty prime example of people who have been through, like, pretty much nothing, being offended on behalf of people who have been through, like, a fuck ton of shit. I hate that more than most things, honestly. It's really irritating. But they then go on to make this case that it normalizes Nazis to have their iconography in video games, and that it desensitizes us to the imagery. When I was in, like, elementary school or middle school or high school and we were learning about, like, you know, World War II and learning about the Nazi iconography, I promise you, if you turn over, like, any given desk in any high school across the country, you'll probably find some stupid fucking swastika etched into the fucking desk. And it's not because they're fucking fascists in the making. It's because they're in school and they're bored and they're trying to pass the time and they're just fucking scribbling shit that they've heard or seen in class. Children were doing this well before they were playing fucking World War II shooters.
It means you might not take iron crosses all over a website as a warning sign that you should immediately leave. And if you don't leave, you might start reading and buying into hateful ideas there.
Hey there, Jimmy, what you playing? Oh, Battlefield 5? No, that looks pretty swell. Looks like a fun time. But did you know, Jimmy, that Battlefield 5 is actually called Battlefield 5 Steps Away from Bombing an Abortion Clinic? That's the real title. The title EA didn't want you to see. This is some Jack Thompson ass shit, honestly. Kids play game with gun, get desensitized to gun, they buy gun, and then they shoot people from top of Mandalay Bay. Just realized I'm in Vegas. Probably shouldn't make that joke.
By the 1000th time you've respawned as a terrorist, you're either celebrating them or making fun of them.
Ah, yes. Terrorists rule. My favorite gamer TM quote. Used to say that all the time back during the Halo 3 days. Every lobby I was in, you couldn't catch me not saying it. Shit was practically my catchphrase. Who in the fuck is screaming terrorists rule in game lobbies unironically? I actually hit my head on the table for that one. By the way, I know the lighting is bad here. You're just gonna have to deal with it. It's a fucking hotel. So of course they're a YouTube essayist channel, so they posited this imaginary problem to their audience, to the public. So what's their solution, do you think? How will extra credits ensure that people who are making World War II games and Modern Warfare games are no longer creating Nazis and terrorist sympathizers?
Frame PvP as a training exercise.
Oh! Literally water guns!
Why are we still here?
This reminds me of when they started getting rid of the gun emojis and they started turning them into water guns, like, slowly over the course of the last several years. Well, look out, because it's gonna start happening in your World War II games now. Can you imagine you fight your way through the Nazi hordes in a World War II game and you get to the final level and you're about to kill Hitler and instead you just kind of spritz him with a fucking super soaker? Hitler's famous last words in his bunker. Oh no, I'm wet. I don't know. I just don't know what to say at this point.
Or simply take one of your non-odious sides and recolor them so that it's red versus blue, rather than Axis versus Allies.
You bought a World War II video game for the experience of Axis versus Allies. That's the point of it being a World War II game and not literally any other kind of game. You didn't buy a World War II game to play red versus blue like it's fucking baseball. This is such baby shit, and I'm not knocking red versus blue. Halo is one of my favorite games of all time, one of my favorite franchises in all of video games, and they operate on a red versus blue game setup. But it works for Halo because Halo isn't trying to sell you on a gritty World War II realistic aesthetic. Can you imagine some British soldier like bleeding out and screaming shrieks of indescribable pain, fucking hyper-realistic explosions going off, blood all over the fucking place, you know, hyper-realistic dust effects like smattering throughout the fucking environment, debris falling on him, and he looks like a fucking glistening Teletubby? You'd think that a channel that built itself off of, you know, explaining game design and like further delving into like the deeper philosophies of how games are made, you'd think that a channel that built itself with that criteria in mind would understand the fragility of immersion, and that decisions like the ones they're talking about in this video aren't made lightly or carelessly or without thought. The Axis versus Allies setup in World War II games is designed the way it is because it works, it's fun, people like it, and it sells. Asking the developer of a World War II game to change the very factions the genre is built around is essentially asking them to stop building the game that they want to make. And I fucking hate that. And here's the thing, if you want to make some like, I don't know, like the most woke game you could possibly imagine, I'll fucking play it. If it's good, if it plays well, and it jives with my tastes in gameplay, I'll play the fucking thing. I think developers should be able to make whatever the fuck they want, be that like far left or far right or whatever the fuck, honestly. If it's a good game, it's a good game, and the people who are building that art for us should be free to express themselves in any fucking way they want. And anybody campaigning against the game saying, this game is too SJW, or this game is too offensive, fuck those people. There are plenty of games out there that don't have anything to do with Nazis or terrorists or fucking anything. So my recommendation here is this. If you've got a problem with a particular piece of media, be it a video game or a movie or whatever, you can feel free to shit on it. But my recommendation really is to just find media you like and support it. And I think that's better for everybody. Because I don't understand how going up to the developer of a World War II game and being like, hey, you should make this game appeal to people who don't like World War II. I feel like it's better for everybody and a lot more healthy for the industry if, you know, new games are added to the fray instead of, you know, games that are currently existing being tailored to an audience that wasn't really interested in them in the first place. And speaking of supporting media you like, have I got a bargain for you? We got some shirts up in the Teespring store if you want to support this channel, that really helps. We got a Patreon in the descriptione, and if you like this video, leave a like, leave a comment, leave a subscribe, maybe. Ooh. I did it. I did the YouTube thing. I did it. Am I real now? Is this my job now? For real though, any engagement helps the channel, and I'm glad. Well, I don't know if you liked it. Maybe you liked it. Maybe you hated it. Fucking whatever. Fuck you. Fuck you all. Fuck this. Fuck this hotel. Also, if you're going to VidCon, I'll be there on a couple days. Say hi. Don't be one of those weirdos who fucking orbits silently and stays like 15 feet away from me at all times, but very clearly knows who I am and stares at me. It's frightening, and it concerns everybody around, just everyone. I'm calling the cops, is what I'm saying. I'm calling the police, I'm calling the SWAT team, I'm calling the judge. Every single one of them. Every judge that exists. And they're gonna judge you, and they're gonna laugh at you, and they're gonna kill you. It's too hot here. My brain is baking. I'll see you later.
You know, the first woman who roofied me was a redhead.
You know, I really like game theory, but I can't stand Matt Pat. I don't know him. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I just can't stand his voice, you know?
It's like if somebody downloaded or like invented an app that mimics charisma. Like he's like charismatic, but it's like always
it's off.
Not real.
Yeah.
It feels like it's not real at all. He's a fucking Russian.
Fuck.
Thanks for watching. Bring this to edit bay.